You can fall into the trap as a managed security services provider like ourselves of just becoming a vendor. So for example, we might deliver a firewall management service and all we ever do is respond to tickets. That's useful in a way, but what we have as an organisation, as an MSSP, is a wide breadth of experience in things like data privacy and things like XDR, EDR, MDR, SIEM. We've got access to pen testers and GRC and advisory. So if we're behaving like a partner in the way that we intend to, we'll bring the entire breadth of our experience as an organisation to that customer through the existing service that's delivered, make them aware of what kind of threats and opportunities exist in the future, and how they can best model their organisation to leverage the opportunities that we can bring as a partner. So really working in partnership with the customer to make the best of their budget and to augment their own expertise and to supplement it in areas where they're internally weak. The most lucrative thing an attacker can do is to take control of a company's data. That might be to encrypt the data or to steal it, and then to demand a ransom from that company to return it or to decrypt it. The actual tactics, techniques and procedures that attackers use to do that haven't changed for years. So phishing campaigns allow them to convince a user to enter their credentials to get access to a privileged account, or they convince a user to download a file which can give them access to the endpoint and then move through the environment. Equally, holes in the perimeter, so generally a weakness in a firewall or a router at the perimeter or perhaps a cloud application, can be punched through to allow an attacker to get access to internal data sets that they can then use to encrypt, to exfiltrate, to demand ransoms and to get paid, which is fundamentally their aim. It's very commoditized and very commercial now from an attacker's perspective, and that's their goal. In terms of what a business can do to prevent it, is getting the fundamentals right. So making sure those firewalls at the perimeter are well configured, making sure you know where your data sits and that you've got the right controls and that those controls are properly configured and monitored to stop attackers getting in. So that might look like antivirus or EDR, that might look like next generation firewalls with a managed service to configure them properly. That might look like securing your code and your applications to make sure that it's not easy for an attacker to exploit them in the first place. Those fundamental principles haven't changed for years and they're so important. One of the most difficult things to in-house is monitoring. So if you have an outsourced XDR service, that generally costs the same as about 2 internal heads to do it, depending on the size and scale of the organisation. So once you've got the right controls selected and deployed and configured, which you can have done as an ad hoc professional service or under consultancy or with your own staff, once those controls are deployed, they need to be monitored. And so one of the best things you can do with your security budget is to outsource the monitoring of them such that there's an automated detection and response service that will kick in when something bad happens and alert you of the threat. You could also spend some money wisely on something like a vCISO service if you're unsure on where to spend your cybersecurity budget, and have a professional with pan-industry expertise come in and give you some advice on the weaknesses of your controls and where you should perhaps prioritise expenditure in the next sort of 12 to 24 months.